All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar with AI, just doing SEO isn't enough, and why AEO and SEO win the search game. My name is Jonathan Watkins, and I'm a partner and chief revenue officer at JBX Strategies, and I'm excited to be your host today. On behalf of the JBX Strategies team, thank you all for joining. First, I'd like to introduce our team. We've got Sophie Watkins, who is our client success manager, and Yarouj, who has been fantastic for us. She is our project manager and assistant operations manager. So thank you guys both for all the work that you did in helping us put this together. A couple of housekeeping items. Yarouj will be monitoring chat, so if you have any questions to drop in any questions, feel free to drop those in chat, and we'll do our best to answer those at the end. The second thing is there are some technical terms we will be reviewing today. So we put those together with a glossary, and Yarouj will also drop those in chat as well. Before we dive in, let me frame this a certain way. Every business has a prospecting or sales strategy. And if you don't, well, then that's a discussion for another call. That strategy usually includes things like phone calls, in-person visits, email, social selling, text messages, referrals, networking, your BNI groups, trade shows, even salespeople who are out cold calling and prospecting. But there's one area that many people overlook, and it's inbound sales, inbound leads. It's people that are already searching for what you do. That is what we're talking about today. How do I increase inbound lead flow? That's where SEO and AEO come into play. They're not just about marketing buzzwords. They're a critical part of your inbound sales machine. If your business, doesn't show up when people are searching online, whether it's on Google or through AI tools like ChatGPT or Siri or Google's new, SGE, what we're calling search generative experience, you're going to be invisible. And here's the kicker. AI is changing on how people search. That means if you're not showing up there, you're not even in the game. So today, I'm going to show you what's changing and how you can position your company to be the answer prospects see first, which translates directly into more inbound leads, more opportunities, and more sales. Let's dive in. All right, the new search landscape. Let's start with where search is at today. In the past, people typed in keywords into Google. They scrolled through a list of links and they clicked on the most promising link, right? That's traditional search, and that's what we all are used to and what we grew up with, right? And while that still happens, something new has entered the picture, and it's called, it's AI powered answer engines, right? Tools like, as I mentioned earlier, ChatGPT, you've got Siri, you've got Alexa, you've got Grok, you've got Google search engine generative experience, like I said, what we're calling SGA. That's really, changing on how we find information. These tools just show you, these tools don't just show you links, they give you answers, right away. In many cases, users never even see your website. They see your answer or someone else's. And here's something important. Website traffic is declining in how many industries, or excuse me, it's declining in many industries, not because people aren't searching, but because AI is answering the questions before anyone clicks there. Traffic is being intercepted at the AI layer. What's amazing, I saw a stat and I don't have it in front of me, but it was like weather.com, and don't quote me on these numbers, but they were getting, call it 1 billion searches a month, and now it's down to 500 million. So search is not even making it to, the website. So you've got to figure out how to be that answer where you show up in AI search. So I'll just give you an example so you guys kind of understand what we're talking about. This is an existing client called Midrod Electric. And for those of you on this call, we focus on the home services industry. So we have a client called Midrod Electric, and we just pulled this up. Typical search when you do electricians in Stillwater, Minnesota, and that's typically how we would search, right? Electricians near me, landscaping companies near me, lawn care services near me. And then a traditional search, the people that would show up are the folks that are spending money on LSA ads or what we call PPC or sponsored ads. And then below LSA and PPC, you've got what's called the map listing, right? And so you really want to show up in the map listing. I'm going to show you guys some things later on in this call, how you can show up on those map listings. But you can see our client Midrod Electric is showing up number one in organic in the map listing. Okay. And then if you scroll down below, then you still have some sponsored stuff. And then you get into that organic, that organic SEO search. And if you're not showing up, and you guys know this, if you're not showing up on that first page, your phone's not going to ring for inbound sales. And we'll switch to one other example. And now if you look at, as people are becoming more familiar with, the Groks and ChatGPT and Gemini and things like that, you want to answer specific questions. So we're starting to type in specific questions, where it's directly into the Grok app or, the Gemini app or whatever it might be. But, what does it cost to upgrade an electrical panel in Stillwater, Minnesota? So if you scrolled up, you got the people who are paying for it, and that's your PPC, your paid ads or your sponsored ads, and you can see the sponsored there, continuing to go down. And then you've got the AI answer or the AI overview, right? And if you look to the right, we've got our client called, Midrod Electric, where they answer the questions that people are searching for, right? And then you scroll down a little bit further, electrical panel upgrade near me, and that's where you get into your organic stuff. So as a side note, what this webinar really is about is answering the client's questions so you become the answer, okay? So I just want to show you a couple of different ways on how you show up in search, and that's your PPC, your map listings, and then your organic search. All right. So, this is where AEO comes in. AEO, again, stands for Answer Engine Optimization. And again, for those of you that have just joined us, we do have a glossary that we put together for everyone that's in chat. You can certainly check that out. But AEO stands for Answer Engine Optimization. And that is the process of making your content the best possible answer for AI platforms to use. Okay. For those of you, we've got a variety of different people on here, but, we've always heard, in marketing, what are your keywords? What are your keywords? Don't stuff your content with keywords. Don't go to AI and just start, what are keywords for my industry and stuffing all your blogs and your content on your website and have it be keyword crazy. That's just not going to work out, right? Your content has to be structured, it has to be clear, and it has to be authoritative. And I guess, and this word's getting overused a little bit, it has to be authentic, right? So AI chooses it. Think about, when you ask ChatGPT, how do I fix a leaky roof? You don't get a list of links, you get the answer, right? So we gotta change our framework, right? And that's what, Stephen Covey always talked about, changing your framework. That answer that comes from somewhere. And if you're a roofing company or a home services company and your content isn't written in a way that AI can easily use it, you're going to be invisible. So AEO is about structuring your information so AI can read it. And I'm going to get a little technical, so don't worry about that. We can answer some of these questions afterwards, but think about adding labels behind the scenes so machines can understand it. And that's what we call schema. And if you look at the glossary that Yarush put in chat, we can get a little bit more technical. But my point is There's things that you can do behind the scenes so the machines find it and understand it. And then again, get back into, back to content. It's, writing short, direct answers to customers' questions. And I've got some real nuggets that I'm going to share with you here in just a bit. Um, Building a web page presence that shows, that you have expertise and trust. And when you do this, AI recommends, um, you know, AI gets to know you and trust you, and it recommends you. And while it's on top of mind, and I think I mentioned this in a slide a little bit later, but there's things that you can do to build expertise and trust, and I brought it up earlier with authentic content. Don't be afraid as a business owner. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and get yourself in front of the camera. It's going to be uncomfortable for a lot of you early on, but take your time and just do it, right? Just even if you're walking in the yard, just you all know what your customers are asking, right? Are they asking about price? What does it cost? What does it cost to get my yard cut on an average of, an acre? Or, what does an average retaining wall cost? So you can answer some of these questions. We all know what questions our customers are doing. All right, moving on. AEO versus SEO. Now, everyone, for the most part, they've heard of SEO, and that's search engine optimization. And it's when you look up landscaping companies near me, where are they where are they showing up, right? So, what's really is the difference? And let's break this down, side by side. Again, SEO is designed to get you seen by Google's search algorithm. It focuses on those keywords that we talked about earlier. What are the words people are typing into Google? So I want to be clear. I'm not saying that SEO is not important and keywords are not important, but you've got to continually focus on those keywords and what people are searching for, and that changes. What are meta descriptions, right? It's the preview under the link. Okay. Backlinks, are other sites linking back to yours, right? That builds credibility, and Google loves backlinks. Okay. Site speed. We can do an audit for anyone on this call. We can do a free audit for you. We can tell you, what your site speed is. And that's how fast your site loads. And there's two things to check. You want to check mobile and you want to check desktop, right? How fast it loads. We've all done it, and we've searched for something. Then you click on the site on your website and you get the kiss of death or the circle of death. And it just goes on and on and on. And you can't get to that website. So site speed's a big a big factor in customer experience. And everything that we're doing from a marketing standpoint at JBX is really focusing on the customer experience and how we can make our marketing clients, how we can make their customers experience really, really good. So in short, SEO is about getting traffic to your site, getting form fills, getting phone calls, having them call you, and we can track all that stuff, right? So, and then AEO, on the other hand, is about being able to answer the question, and it focuses on, structured data, signals that tell AI what your page means. Again, schema markup, and that should be in that glossary that Yuru shared. Those are behind the scenes labels. Okay. Then you've got direct answers. Again, you've got short, clear responses to questions. You don't have to overcomplicate that. Again, authority and clarity, showing you're a trustworthy, incredible source. I can't tell you how our views, and we've started this in the last 6-8 months, is really we're doing webinars, right? Don't be afraid to do a webinar. What do people look for in a landscaping company? What do people look if you're a concrete company and you do concrete driveways? Why should they select you? So you can become an authority in a short amount of time. And Google reviews is something that we'll talk about here in just, coming up. But in short, AEO is about being featured inside AI generated answers, like I showed you in that mid-rod example earlier. Now here's the key takeaway. It's not either or, right? as I mentioned earlier, you still have to do SEO, and it's still really, really important. But you really need to start looking at doing SEO. And again, SEO is relatively new, as with AI, but it's exponential, right? It's growing so fast that AI, you have to embrace it. And if anyone's on this call and you're not using ChatGPT or Grok, um, things are changing really, really fast. So I implore you guys as business owners and executives to take the time, even if you work for a company, you're on this call and you're in sales, spend time living in AI and studying it. It's like having multiple employees. All right. But now, let's see. Oh yeah, here's what I was gonna say. It's real briefly, the winners that embrace AI in general and SEO, they're gonna win. So moving on, let's talk about a real world example. So earlier I showed you the example of Mid-Broad Electric. They're a client of ours in the difference in insurance search. Let me give you an example of a client that is a landscaping company. Um, they're a residential landscaping in St. Paul, Minnesota. Uh, when they came on board, they had a very, very successful commercial division, and they were relaunching their residential landscaping division. And they weren't just looking for a new website, they needed real results, right? Their website was getting no traffic, they were getting no leads from inbound sales, and their online presence was generating really zero leads, right? Um, there was just nothing coming out of it. So the solution that we did was we implemented a complete digital strategy. And I'll get into that here. We did a full website redesign built to convert. It was all around getting conversions, getting form fills, getting calls. Um, we did custom on-site photography, and that has really helped us build credibility. And recently, we've done some video for them as well. So we built SEO optimization. We built some targeted landing pages around all their services, and then we also did paid ad campaigns, both Google and Facebook. And I mentioned this earlier, but then we came up with a a review generation. Um, and that's reviews and listings. So we've got a service that we have for our clients. It's a reviews and listings service. So, getting consistent Google reviews, and then listings are, back in the day, I'm kind of dating myself here, but for those of you that are old enough, we used to have this thing called the yellow book, yellow pages. And I see Randy giving us a head shake, but we had this thing called the yellow pages, and you look in the yellow pages. Well, that was your listings, right? And then MCI came out, and then you had another phone book, right? So what that is in general terms is we want to make sure that you're found in every yellow book, okay? Because now there's like 41 to 44 different listing services, and most are familiar with Apple, most are familiar with um, Google, right? But there's many different listings, and we just want to make sure that your listings are accurate in all of them, right? So that can really help. And just jumping into the results, they're absolutely mind blowing. It actually exceeded our expectations and the owner's expectations. We grew their revenue, and I'm going to jump right to revenue so you can keep the slide up. But we grew their revenue 33%. This year, we're our trending and our run rate is we're going to finish higher than that 30%. So organic traffic, I'll just run through this real quick. Before we got going, we took organic SEO traffic. It surged 243%. And this is just organic traffic, right? This is not paid at all. We brought them from 343 to 836 visits. Okay. Total traffic grew from 1,500 to 5,000 visitors. And phone calls were up 337%. And we drove over 200 qualified leads. I mean, what would that do for your business if you had 200 qualified leads? Even if you have a closing ratio of 20%, and we talk to business owners and their sales reps, and they always tell me, oh, my close rate's 80%. But I'm like, even if your close ratio is like 20%, what would happen if you had 200 more qualified leads to your business? And then again, you got your PPC, which is your pay-per-click or your Google ads. The important number here is the conversions not only were up 367%, but we dropped the cost from $81 per click down to 24, and we drew the conversion rate from 1% to 15%. So as you can see, they gained a lead engine that delivered measurable growth. And that's really what, historically in the past, what SEO has done. And I've been in this business a long time. We're not really seeing any marketing companies out there talking about SEO yet. And we are talking to our existing clients about SEO. And it's something that you have to implement, in my opinion, right away. And I'm going to give you some things that you can do shortly to fix that. And I guess first I'll start by saying, your website is not a set it and forget it. Okay. You just don't build your website and never look at it again. It needs to be consistently updated with, again, I hate to overuse this word, but authentic content. Even if you got to start with your cell phone and go out to the job sites and just take some video of your guys on site. If you're laying a concrete driveway, I know we've got Ethan on this call who's done a fabulous job with one of our clients called Cornerstone Concrete. But just get yourself out there and don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's like me doing this webinar. I can't imagine me doing this webinar 6 months ago. You just have to put yourself out there, not to be afraid. And really, I want you guys on this call, this webinar, to think of yourselves as your own publishing company. Think of yourselves as your own newspaper in your town. I always like to date myself, but we had this thing. You had the want ads, right? You'd get the paper and you look at the want ads. Well, now with this thing, called the internet that we've had around since 93, 92, in some fashion before that, but you can be your own media company. Don't be afraid to write your blogs and answer the questions, right? So when you combine SEO and AEO, you just don't get traffic. You get more qualified inbound leads and real revenue growth. And that's really what this webinar is about, is how can you get real revenue growth? Because at the end of the day, I don't want to use the word dumb down, but at the end of the day, we want to, dumb this down. It's like, what can I do today to get more revenue in the door? And that's what we'll share here shortly. Okay. This is, again, I'm going to get a little bit technical in here, so I apologize. If anyone ever wants to jump on another call after this, we can go through some of this technical stuff, but I don't want you to be intimidated. All I put this slide together was just, how does AI pull information, right? And you have to have kind of a basic understanding. And you guys could certainly take a screenshot of this, type it into ChatGPT. And if you're not using ChatGPT, get an account today. And you can say, okay, what is structured data? What is schema? What is Google Knowledge Graph? What is authoritative sites? Well, I can't say that word. What does clear and organized content mean, right? That's what you can do is, take a screenshot of this, plug it into ChatGPT or Grok or whatever you're using for AI, and it can show you some of the things to do, right? But, really what AI and how AI pulls its information is from what we call, labels, right? It's structured, it's labels in your content and structured data. It's, behind the scenes signals, right? And then you've got your Google Knowledge Graph, which is, Google's got a massive fact database. You want to get yourself listed in this fact database, okay? You want to get listed on authoritative sites. I'm struggling with the word authoritative today. I should maybe not use that word. But you want to be listed on trusted sites, right? Like, industry leaders, right? So whatever industry you're in, you want to make sure that you're listed in there, and that'll obviously help out with, backlinks as well. Again, well-formatted websites, I think, is a big piece of it. I've said it over and over again. Clear, organized, and trustworthy content, wins the day. And it goes to blogs. If you guys are on this call and you're not doing blogs, you're missing out. Blogs are not going away. We had this come up the other day. They said, Jonathan, should we still be using blogs? Are those outdated? And we're like, absolutely. It's actually probably now more important than it's ever been, right? But if it doesn't have those signals, if it doesn't answer the questions directly, or if it's buried deep on your site, AI is not going to see it, right? So again, the best content for AI is it's short and direct, use headers and list and answer one clear question per section. So for those of you on this call, if you're in a service business or home services business, make sure you've got a separate service page for all of your services. So if you're a landscaping company, have one for retaining walls, have one for sprinklers, make sure you've got one for every service that you sell. Um, and back up answers with facts. If your content isn't structured in a way that AI can understand it, it might as well not exist. I mean, so again, separate service pages, separate landing pages are a great way to do that. All right, here's where we're going to start having fun. And we're going over a little, hopefully everyone can stay over on time a little bit in a few minutes. But here are 5 things that you can do right now. Label your content for AI. And that's, again, what we call that schema markup. I'm going to bust through this kind of fast. Answer specific questions. Verify your Google business profile, okay? If you don't have a Google business profile, get a Google business profile today. You guys can Google, what topic clusters are, but show experience, expertise, and authority, right? So the bottom line is, if 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 you don't have an FAQ page too, I don't want to get too deep, but if you don't have an FAQ page, please get one. If you guys have field techs or anyone out in the field, have them write down every question that gets asked when they are on site. For you business owners on there, keep a notebook, or if you're the receptionist, keep a notebook of every question a prospect asks when they are calling for a quote. What questions are they asking on the form fills? If you take one thing, okay, because I know we're getting short on time and I may go over a few minutes, so hopefully y'all can say, but if you take one thing away from this call, it would be to have a strategy session with you and your team and come up with 100 questions that prospective customers or prospects, right? What are they asking? And then write your content centered around those questions. And again, make sure your Google business profile is up and running. And if you don't have a Google My Business profile, get one today. And organize your content into topic clusters. Show that you have experience, build that trust, share expertise, show proof of work, show before and afters, and really build credibility. But again, if there was one thing I could highly recommend today is, start thinking about those questions, writing those down, and write your content around answering those questions. All right, real quick, moving on. Mistakes to avoid. Don't rely on long, generic blog posts. If they don't answer the questions, you're not going to get picked, okay? And don't stuff keywords, as I mentioned earlier. And don't ignore voice search, right? And don't forget about mobility, both from a speed site, or a site speed, and desktop speed. And we'll go to slide 9. All right, wrapping up. SEO is still critical. It gets you ranked, it gets you indexed, and it gets you found, and it lets Google know that you exist. But at the end of the day, AEO is what gets you selected. It tells AI you're the best answer, okay? And together, SEO builds your domain authority and pipeline. AEO makes your content AI friendly and front of the line. The businesses that apply both will dominate. It's not about choosing one over the other, as I mentioned earlier. It's about understanding how people search today and how machines interpret it. SEO alone is not enough, and AEO ensures your content gets featured by AI. Start small, and remember, SEO and AEO are not just marketing tactics. They're a vital part of your prospecting strategy, along with phone calls, referrals, networking, trade shows, etc. The difference is inbound leads come to you. So If you want help applying these changes, or any help with any of the things we cover in this webinar, we're here to help. We're here to ask questions or answer questions. And certainly for anyone on this, if you guys want a free audit, a free strategy session, we can guide you through this shift. So in closing, I just want to say I appreciate everyone for jumping on this call. I hope this session has been helpful and clarifies what's happening in search and really how to position yourself. We covered a lot of information. I know we got a little deep because it is a very technical concept, and it's even more technical. So it's worth the time to understanding how search is changing. So we'll send the slide deck out to everybody. And of course, if you guys have any questions or do want to schedule a free consultation, if you Rouge, we've got time and you can drop that into chat, that would be fantastic. If you don't have any questions, let's see. Is Sophie, are you still on? Or you Rouge, do we have any questions in chat? I am certainly available for a few minutes to answer anything.
No questions in chat.
Okay, Yarush, thank you for sharing that stuff. Randy, do you have anything? Welcome, Randy.
Thank you. It's a little overwhelming for me, so I don't know what I should be asking.
No worries. It's it can be overwhelming because it's a very technical topic, and it's getting even more technical. And we contemplating when we were putting this together is like, how technical do we want to be? And I thought, well, that's why we should really put together this glossary, right? Because search is changing, it's changing so fast that and it can be overwhelming. And so, in its simplest form, what's changing is just we're still typing things into Google or into Grok. And are you using AI today at all, Randy?
Very, very little.
Okay. Well, it just if you just start, and if I can recommend anything, download, if you're on your cell phone a lot or laptop, whatever you use, if you're on your cell phone, go to Chat GPT, a company called OpenAI, and they partner with Microsoft. Is go download the app on your phone and just play with it. And then Grok is really taken off, and that's Elon Musk's version of Chat GPT. It's a free app. You can download it onto your phone too, and it's great for graphics. And just start playing with it. And what's nice about AI now is your Grok bot, so to speak, gets to know you, right? And so my kids and family think I'm crazy because I live on a little log cabin up in northern Minnesota, and I like to hunt and fish, but that's a whole nother story. But I'll tell Grok, it's like, Grok, can you help me design a deer plot for, and what do I need? And so it starts to get to know me, and it's like, oh, you and Anna are killing it at the ranch. So it's kind of scary at the same thing, but you can start doing some things for your business. Like you can type in, Grok, I have what industry are you in? Are you in landscaping or
Heating and cooling and plumbing.
HVAC? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can type in. So, one of the things that we're good at and you can get there is just, once you download the app, in the input, say, hey, hi, Grok, I'm Randy and I own an HVAC company, and here's what we do. Can you help me kind of come up with a marketing plan? How can I grow my revenue from 500,000 to 1.5? And so it just starts to get to know you, but you just start playing around with it, and it's not intimidating. And you'll find that it can help you put together business plan. I'm kind of going way off, but it can help to put together business plans for you. Hey, Grok, here's my revenues for 2025. Can you help me with a business plan for 2026? Here's what I'm doing today. What would you do? And so it's really nice. It's like another assistant to grow your company. So anyway, anything else pop up in chat?
Trevor,
Trevor would like a free audit.
Yep, I
Oh.
asked for his email.
Okay. Yeah, Trevor, and we'll do the same thing, Randy. We have access, our biggest cost besides employees is software. So I told you, Ruza and Sophie, that let's start utilizing some of that. We will do, if you want us, Randy and Trevor, grateful for you guys jumping on. And Ethan is an existing customer, and we've done this for him, is we'll do a free audit. It's about a $500 value. We'll really dig in and say, okay, here's, we want to know where we're starting, right? Where are we at today? And we can evaluate your website. We can look at the keywords. We can put together a plan. So we'll work on that, Trevor and Randy. Randy, I think, yeah, we got Randy's email address as well. So we'll certainly do that. Any other questions? Nothing? Okay. Well, I'll follow up in the next couple days with you, Trevor and Randy, and we'll get that audit. We'll do the work. I'll have the audit ready, but we'll schedule a meeting just to review the audit, and then I'll get a lot deeper in that audit when we have our strategy session. So if we can allocate, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, we'll spend some time. And then what's nice about that, Trevor and Randy, is then I can show you like where you're ranking on the reviews and listings. I can look at your different keywords and rankings and go from there. So. With that being said, if there's nothing else, I am grateful that you guys jumped on and do appreciate your time.
Thank you much.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. Take care.